Ewers from the shotgun. Quinn with the snap. Back to throw. Looks. Fires for the end zone. Incomplete. And that's it. The ball game is over.
Well, we've already covered the Alabama-Michigan game, and if you've not seen that video, be sure to do so. Next, we have a breakdown of the Washington-Texas game. In what is the second contest, the primetime game on New Year's Day for college football, we have the undefeated number 2 seed Washington Huskies against the number 3 Texas Longhorns in the All-State Sugar Bowl. While the Alabama-Michigan game has garnered more attention from college football fans, and for good reason, this game should serve up just as much excitement and intrigue in a duel between 2 great quarterbacks, 2 high-scoring offenses, and 2 stingy defenses. It almost plays itself into the classic narrative of unstoppable force meeting an immovable object. Without spending much more time setting the table, let's dive into the main course of this breakdown. The Washington Huskies used a high-octane passing offense to go 13-0 on the regular season and secure the 2nd seed in the college football playoffs. To perhaps no one's surprise after the first season he had at Washington in 2022-23, quarterback Michael Penix Jr. posted similarly incredible numbers in 23-24, with 4,218 passing yards on the season, 33 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. One could argue last season was better for Penix Jr., but the undefeated season helped makes the case that he improved. As a result of the lofty numbers Penix Jr. recorded on the season, the Huskies led all of college football with an average of 343.8 passing yards per game. But let us also give credit where it's due and say the receiving duo of Rome Odunze and Jalen Polk helped establish a great passing game for Washington. Both men hauled in 81 and 60 catches respectively, and both posted 1,000-yard seasons. While Odunze led the team with 13 touchdowns, Polk recorded 8 on the season. Dylan Johnson also posted solid numbers in the backfields as he ran for 1,113 yards, averaged 5.5 yards per carry, and found the end zone 14 times. All of this adds up to an offense that scored an average of 37.7 points per game. This will come to a head when the Huskies take on a Longhorns defense who allows 17.5 points per game, which is good enough for the 10th best in the country. Not only does Texas limit the amount of points their opponents score, but they're also stingy against the run, with an average of 81.1 yards allowed per game on the ground and a meager 2.9 yards per carry. This Texas defense ranks near the top in those categories for all of college football. Now, for Washington, there is a bright spot. The Texas defense is incredibly susceptible to the pass, as they have allowed 240.8 passing yards per game and an average completion percentage of 59.78%. For the Huskies, the key will be to exploit a weaker pass defense, then utilize the run when needed so the offense doesn't become too one-dimensional or too reliant on Penix Jr. While the Texas defense allows the 10th fewest points in the country, the Washington defense is solid in that department as well. They allow 23.6 points per game, which is the 46th fewest, so the difference between the two is about a touchdown's difference. If Washington wants to take the Sugar Bowl, they'll have to use their incredible passing game to make sure that touchdown difference is irrelevant. The Longhorns are the 4.5-point favorites for this contest. Their combination of a strong offense that scores an average of 36.2 points per game, along with their equally talented defense that allows 17.5 points per game, presents a challenge to any team. For numbers' sake, the number of points per game Texas scores is 13th most compared to Washington's 8th most of 37.7, while the 17.5 points per game allowed is 10th fewest in the country compared to Washington's 23.6 that's 46th fewest. Quinn Ewers improved remarkably in his sophomore season as his completion percentage jumped from 58.1% to 70.7%. He threw for 3,161 yards, 21 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. While he threw the same number of interceptions in the previous year, and fans would like to see those numbers come down, Ewers did rush for 5 touchdowns on the season. Let's also credit the receiving duo for the Longhorns as well, because Xavier Worthy and Adonai Mitchell posted great numbers in 2023 as well. There's no doubt the talented Mitchell, who transferred from Georgia, made an immediate impact on the passing game for Texas. He grabbed 51 receptions for 813 yards and 10 touchdowns. Worthy's final stat line in the regular season, 73 receptions, 969 yards, and 5 touchdowns, serve as an equally impressive cog in the machine that is the Longhorns offense. It's a toss-up on who has the better duo of receivers in this, Texas or Washington. But the Texas defense is probably the most critical piece for this game, especially their secondary. The Longhorns are great at limiting the run, as evidenced by their top 10 rankings in fewest rushing yards allowed per game at 81.1 and their 2.9 yards per carry. But Washington makes their mark through the air, and and that's where Texas is vulnerable. In the Huskies offense, they have the QB who has thrown for the most yards in college football, a receiver who owns the second most yards in college football with Rome Odunze. We can see Texas winning this game, but we can also see Washington winning. Overall, we're going to go with Washington by a slim margin of 3 points or less. Simply put, the wide receivers for the Huskies may be overlooked by a lot of people, but they have some of the fastest wideouts on their depth chart. It won't be a cakewalk for the duo Odunze and Polk against the Texas secondary, but it can be a favorable matchup. We especially believe if the Huskies can maintain a somewhat respectable balance of run and pass in their offense versus becoming too one-dimensional in the Sugar Bowl. While Texas is the modest 4.5 point favorite, us fine folks at No Huddle are taking the Washington Huskies. This about does it for us at No Huddle. Let us know in the comments what you think the outcome will be for this game. Did we nail it, or do you have a different take on this matchup? Be sure to let us know in the comments. Before you go, if you like the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, as it helps the channel tremendously. If you find yourself coming back to No Huddle frequently, consider subscribing, as we post exclusively about college football. Our content is produced by college football fans for college football fans.